I'm really nervous about tomorrow.
Why?
Well, instead of a review, I am putting up my first impressions of Monster Hunter Stories 2.
Oh, I I think if you have anyone or at all, they'll be like the hardcore trolls who saw your initial thing for Monster Hunter Rise
Mm,
and then like for some reason are just like internet stalking you to see what your next Monster Hunter thing is, or that's like the first thing that they think of is, hey, I wonder what that dude on the internet thinks about
do
this
you
Monster Hunter
do
thing.
you realize how many views that Rise got?
I saw it got like 1,000 at one point. I don't know
Oh,
where
it's
it's at
higher than that.
now.
Hold on, I'm looking for it real quick. It's higher than 1,000. I'm positive. Just can't remember
Ooh.
how long ago we did that one.
That came out in March. I think it was March.
March, you say? Would
That
that be 3 months
sounds right.
ago? Yeah, there it is.
Sounds about right.
It
Yeah.
had 2,400 views, man.
Okay.
So like, that's what I'm nervous about. And I got 2,400 views, and it was not well received in any way, shape, or form. Actually, I'm just gonna click on it real quick. A couple of things, and yeah, 178 downvotes, 194 comments, and only 38 likes. I'm very nervous to have to deal with that shit again. Not gonna
I
lie.
mean, look at it this way. It's one of our most interacted with videos.
It is, and the downvotes help us just as much as the upvotes, from what I understand of the algorithm. It's just, I don't like negativity.
Time to get your fix. It's a horrible gaming podcast. It's not good, it's not great. Horrible gaming podcast. It's not even what you would call fair. It's really not that good. Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming, and welcome to another horrible gaming podcast you have chosen for whatever reason to tune into us. But I am not alone, nor am I ever alone. With me is...
Neil, aka Tiny Wizard.
And just before we get started, we've got an interesting show for you guys today. But before we get started, we've got to do a couple of shout outs as usual. Number one, if you're watching this on YouTube, behind the fancy timestamps, you are seeing fancy graphics. Any one of those that are custom was custom made for us by Mr. Mark Bell, and we thank him for that. And of course, the theme song for this show and all of the shows here at OMG, are provided by the man who makes the music, my brother Nick Van Sliders, and we thank him for that.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Alright, so that brings us to our first segment, our most important segment, and that's because it's the segment all about you guys. That is right, it's fan interaction. We read out all your comments wherever we can get them, wherever we can find them. And yeah, we talk to you guys, riff on things you say. If we've done a horrible arena, we use it to do the horrible arena, stuff like that. So first and foremost, let's get down to it. It was all Kev except my brother. In person, he told me something to say. And guys and gals out there, if you know me in person, don't tell me in person something to say on the podcast, because I will forget it. 100% I will forget it. Please, 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 put it in text somewhere that I can access. Kev Too Tall, the Avatar movies / games, nobody cares. It's done and over. A sequel should have been done within 5 years. Kev, I don't think there's anything for us to say. I completely agreed. Completely agree
Yeah,
there, Neil?
they were talking about doing the sequel to that movie. It was like 2 years after it came out, and
Yeah.
apparently there was like 7 sequels or something in the works
Yeah.
or something like
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah.
remember, yeah, it's just I don't understand. You can't do that. It's not like it's some like crazy ass cult movie that had a
Right.
huge following. It was a crazy special effects popcorn flick that people went to see for that,
Right.
and that's about it.
You know what bothers me the most too is Ubisoft just revealed some really interesting, cool tech from that game. That
Yeah.
interests me way more than the game does. Like, apparently, like since it's open world, you travel through the biomes and whatever. The wildlife in the biomes will react appropriately to weather.
Oh.
Yeah, so like if it rains, they'll seek shelter. If it's cold, they'll seek warmth, like stuff like that. Yeah, which I thought is really cool. It's not. I'm not gonna play that game for that, but I want to see that somewhere else.
It sounds like one of those games that's going to be like, oh man, this is going to be the first good whatever type of game that you're talking about in whatever genre. Like the first real good open world licensed game that's like,
Right.
wow, it just blows the doors off of everything. But then they just screw something up at the last minute that just makes it just horrid to play.
Who knows? Who knows? Kev Tutal then says Solitude. I am very familiar. I am not exactly sure what we were talking about on that because my memory is terrible and it is late on a Sunday, so.
And it's actually technically like a week and a half since we recorded last, so.
Yeah, so everybody out there, we're actually recording on Sunday today. We couldn't record on Friday. So I think we're going to try and record this Friday, though, right?
Well, I mean, we can do this Friday, or like I said, this coming Sunday, I'm actually off.
Right,
So
right.
if we
Independence
can
Day.
do it Friday, we can do it Friday. If not, we can do it Sunday. However we want to do it.
Well, we should definitely not be talking about this in the actual content of the show,
I
but
don't know why we were.
that I started it.
that
It's
right now.
because I got no. I'm ready for bed and I got no thread anymore. He then says, Zach, the storytime Nazi, LOL. I think that's because I forced your story to be the open of last show. He then said, long episodes are awesome. Thanks, Kev. I think you might be the only one who says that, but thank you.
I like long episodes too. It's okay.
He says, yay, Neil has a GPU. With a lot of smiley faces. He doesn't have one yet, Kev. He's just got pieces all over his house.
I have a nice pile of everything I got. I even went and got RGB strips and nylon cable sleeves too for cable management. Like I am so
You're
ready
speaking
to
Phil
be-
Bailey's language, man.
Yeah,
He's crazy like that. He'll actually just open up his PC every so often and see if he can't make his cords look better.
You know what I want to try to do too? How like you guys have pops in yours. I want to do the same thing, but because
Yeah.
my fucking case is so huge, they have a 10-inch Galactus pop that I want to put in mine.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. Because yours
Bad for
is
airflow, though.
yours is big and ridiculous. I think a big and ridiculous Galactus pop makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's required to be part of the channel. You have to have a Funko Pop in there. You just have to. I don't even like Funko Pop. It's just Phil started it, so we all have to do it now. He then says, the world was hyped for E3 because we got an E3. That's why everyone has been positive for the less than good announcements. Kev,
That's fair.
that is fair. That is fair. And that's what we said ahead of time. I think it was more about doing it than it was about it actually happening. You know what I mean? Still, I get very upset at the excitement about nothing. I'm okay with everybody getting really excited for less stuff across the board. What I don't like is how much they said Xbox won when Nintendo clearly won because they actually had gameplay and actual dates for us, where Xbox had basically ideas of shows. Ideas of games that they were showing us, basically.
Yeah.
And that's what pisses me off, is that anybody could say that. I mean, even the Outer Worlds 2 trailer, I thought was hilarious, because the Outer Worlds 2 trailer was literally making fun of the fact that they had a trailer there. Did you see the Outer Worlds 2 trailer?
I absolutely, and I had called it halfway through the trailer too. Whenever I had seen it, Kayla and I were watching it. I was like, if this is not Outer Worlds 2, like it's just so nail on the head for
Yeah.
not just like Outer Worlds, but like E3 as a whole.
Yep.
Is summed up in that trailer.
And that's what bothered me. I almost felt like Xbox went to them and was like, we need a trailer, we need a trailer, we need a trailer. And they're like, we don't have anything, we don't have anything. And they're like, we need a trailer. So they're like, all right. And they gave them a trailer that basically made fun of the fact that they had to give them a trailer, you know?
Yeah.
But that did. It summed up the Xbox show. It's all like, it's showing you a bunch of stuff in their hand, but you can't touch it. And I don't like that. Kev then moves on to Extraction is a crappy version of a limited time game mode that was crazy popular in Rainbow Six Siege community. So apparently Extraction, the weird zombie game coming from Ubisoft, the Rainbow Six Extraction thing, was apparently a game mode in Rainbow Six Siege that we didn't even know about. That they just kind of spun off into its own game.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. I only played Rainbow Six Siege once on like a free-to-play weekend, and I was not a fan of it at all. So we're just, neither one of us are in that ecosystem to know. Kev Tutal, Neil, my Metroid dream has been answered. A lot of emoji.
Yes, yes.
And then
I actually, just to talk about that.
Yeah, go for
it. It actually kind of, I saw there was a lot of hubbub on the internet about it. Just a tiny detail that people noticed in the trailer that I missed, and it's like totally cool. Because it is a 2D game, like in the 3D plane sort of deal, that they're focusing more of the tech on the environment and stuff like that. And if you look in the trailers, like Samus will actually, the character model of her will change and adapt based off of where you are in the environment. So like there is a ledge. If you walk in front of the ledge, she'll just automatically like put her hand on the side of the wall and use that to stabilize herself while she's shooting and stuff like that. Just cool tiny details.
Wow.
They've really put a lot into that game.
It sounds very good. Very good.
Yes.
And then finally, Kev Tutal, I am not applying for membership in the Foundation 4, but I'll take Secretary of Defense.
Position granted.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna go into Discord and name him Secretary of Defense right now.
Yes.
On air. I'm doing it on air, ladies and gentlemen. Since we were finishing Fan Traction early, and I don't know if I forgot to ask Neil if he can actually do Horrible Arena this week or not.
Not really.
There it is. So yeah, we got time. I'm gonna change. No, not a tiny wizard. Where is he? Kev too tall. Look for the Vegeta. There he is. There he is. We're gonna change your name, Kev too tall. We're gonna change your role. Plus, Secretary of Defense.
Trying to see if it reflects on mine.
What? It won't let me put it in. Roll.
Boo.
Sec.
Oh well. We'll get it figured out at some point.
Yeah,
Just
this
know
is
that
very
you got the
irritating.
job, Kev. Just know that you got the job.
Yeah, why can't I add roll to him? Add roll? I must need to create the roll separately, I would have to say. Yeah.
Simply riveting audio, this is.
Yeah, right? Fun stuff, fun stuff. All right, we'll move on. All right, everybody. I think that's it for Fan Traction, unless you got anything you want to add, buddy.
No, I don't think so.
All right.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so that brings us to our first talking point. Now, guys, E3 just wrapped up. You had 2 giant episodes from us about all of our predictions and then all of our coverage of it, but you know how this goes with E3. E3 is done, and so far, the news is done for probably the next couple of weeks, at least the big news anyway.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, we've picked some interesting talking points today, and the first one is the Atari VCS came out, Neil.
The long-rumored and ever-elusive Atari VCS.
I mean,
So tell me, Zach. Tell me. How did it fare?
It did not fare well, sir. It did not
Oh.
fare well. It was not.
Oh, but why? Why in year 2021 did a brand new Atari console, the first in 30 plus years, not do well?
So here's why, Neil. It has absolutely no games on it. What it has, okay, is it has two modes. It has the console mode, which allows you to it basically is an Atari classic. What's funny about it? It has 80 plus Atari games to play in 4K. Could you imagine playing those fucking games in 4K? Could you imagine playing Asteroids in 4K? Like,
I want
not.
the sharpest fucking pixels on my screen, man.
It would be too
the
sharp.
sharpest giant blocky pixels.
You just see dots everywhere. It would be terrible. So there's that. And then there is a PC mode where you can like plug a thumb drive in if you have a Windows 10 boot disk. You can plug it in, and it basically boots it up as a tiny PC, basically. So
Now,
it's not really a console at all. It's an emulator. It's a fucking
well,
emulator.
From what I understand, I didn't know about Windows. I knew it could boot. You could boot Linux because the one reviewer that did on IGN the article that I read about it.
Yeah, but he had to
said
do a
that he
special way to do it.
Well, yeah, he tried to boot Ubuntu, but I don't know if it's strictly that build or if there's just particular builds of Linux that will run on this
Right.
thing. But regardless of any of that, why?
Well, and
Question mark.
do you want to know the best part about it?
Oh, what's the best part about it?
The best part is the price tag, my friend.
Oh my god! And what
Do
you
you-
get for the price? Yes, I saw this.
It's $299 for that
Without
without controllers.
You get no control. Can you imagine? Can you imagine all ever buying a literal anything and
Oh man.
not being able to use it
Oh
unless
man.
you buy a separate controller for it?
Oh man. Like that's just a nightmare. It's just I can't believe any
How long has this thing been in development?
I can't believe a
5
console is
years at this
releasing.
point?
Yeah, I can't believe a console is releasing in 2021. Well, it's been 5 years since we heard about it. I think. I don't think it's been. I think it's been in development longer than that.
That makes it even worse, and it's just that
Yeah.
horrible of a launch. That just it's almost as if they saw these mini consoles of everything and said,
Mm-hmm.
"Hey, let's do that. Only not make it small, make it regular size,
Right.
and just do all the things, but like no
Right.
games on it." But I remember explicitly them talking about when they were one of the news cycles about it a couple years back that they were like, "Oh, we're in talks with third-party developers
Right.
to bring like
Right.
this, that, and the other." Like that
Mhm.
clearly didn't shake out. Like
Yep.
this, I don't what I know. Like you have to be different to, especially right now with the three main console makers and PC dominating everything. You have to bring a shitload to the table to be that number 5 in that group and have to do some stellar stuff to set yourself apart. And I feel like Atari just literally said, like, showed up to the party is like, "Hey, Atari's here. I brought beer." Okay. And they brought like a 6-pack of Natty for like 70 people at the party. Like, they brought nothing. They did the bare minimum. They only basically slapped their name on it and said, "Hey, you guys remember this? You like this? $300, please."
Yeah, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. Which leads me to what I really kind of want to lead into as far as a conversation. Because, the VCS is a horrible, embarrassing failure. But this isn't the only console that's, like, trying to break into the market or has tried to break into the market. We remember what was it called? The Quibi or whatever? The Quip or the Queeper?
The Quibi, there was
The
Critic was a
kick-started one
video.
that was a nightmare.
There was the Ouya.
Ouya, that's right. The Ouya.
Yeah.
That one was a nightmare, and I think that like, and then we still have the Intellivision one that's coming out that supposedly has actual exclusives, like the Earthworm Jim. The next is exclusive to it, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we'll see.
Right, we'll see. We don't even know when that's coming out or what that's going to be. We've seen pictures of it. That's it. But there are a lot of these like these other party companies trying to break into the console market. So I want to have a discussion. What do we think it would take in 2021 to be a successful console developer in the current market? So I want to hear your idea first, because
You know what? Honestly, you know what I think that it would take to be successful? I think it would take. The only thing that's coming to mind is modular, a modular device, one that's just like a what you would buy is a chassis basically, and almost have it be like a PC.
Okay.
But you would simplify the entire process, and let's just say like the base version has 4 slots, and like the highest end version has 8 slots. And in these slots, you would put things like video memory, RAM, storage, stuff like that, so you could custom build out your own sort of console. It would have to be something that would be.
I mean,
at
at that point, it's kind of just a PC, just a little
Right,
little bit more functionally easy, like plug and play. It's basically
Right,
a plug and play
that's-
PC, is basically what it
Right,
is.
and that's the thing is, I feel like it, but it would be honestly, I almost would think that this would have been something that Microsoft would have done because of their experience with
Right.
PC. Because with the PC space, you either like you have to have a certain amount of knowledge going into PC gaming. You have to know like what things do what and everything.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just like say, "Hey mom, get me a gaming PC," and have, mom be able to go to Best Buy and
You kind of can. I mean, there are
To
like
some
the
degree.
Alienwares and those kind of things.
Yeah, but they don't like you're not able with those unless you physically go online and get your own thing built out for you. You can't really get one tailored to what you want. I would want
Well, that's true.
I would want a box that's like every so many years, like let's just slap Microsoft's name on it just for this example. Let's just say the Xbox box is what
Okay.
we would call it. The Xbox box has 5 bays for your storage, your drive, stuff like that, and it would have its own like integrated like system storage for the OS.
Right.
So let's say my video card for this, it's outdated. I need it to be able to, run the newest games like they're kind of doing with their new idea of what generations are.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you just go buy the next gen version of that card, swap out your old one. If you want more memory, whatever, you could slap that in there. Let's say, I want the ability to have higher fidelity audio than what's in there. Like, let's say, right
Yeah,
out the
but what you're
box.
describing is a PC. I think what you're
Right.
what you're failing to convey is that it would be super simple, and it would just
Right,
be
and
like
that-
plug
yeah,
it
it
in
would-
and out, like a
it would
USB.
be- yeah, it would be its own platform for those who want that, who want the customizability of PC without having to know anything other than, this does this does this.
And you probably already
Get the
have a
new ones and it can
built-in.
go fast.
You probably already have a built-in cooling system and a built-in like the power supply. It's stuff like that, a little overbuilt for it, and then you just worry about like the essentials, basically.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's the only
makes sense.
way that you could really succeed in a hardware space right now. Well, not the only way, but one of the ways that comes to mind for me, because since Microsoft has introduced that idea of like generations not necessarily being a hard line, just like a kind of like, oh, well, the older hardware, it's phasing out, it's struggling to run these games, you just need to upgrade sort of deal.
Right.
Maybe in some instances, especially with some of the games that are out there now, you would only need a different graphical processor in your console,
Right.
which again would be like a PC, but it would just be so much much simpler
Right.
and more customizable by that first party
Right.
manufacturer.
What? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, what about you? What would you think would be the big thing to
Well,
move people in?
I'm kind of going to cop out here because I don't think you can. I don't think consoles are going to be a thing anymore. And I'm probably going to get some hate, maybe some disagreement with that, but here's how I see the future of console gaming right now. I see the Switch sticking around for quite a while because it's portable, and that's what people like. Also, it doesn't really need power. It's always going to have those like really fun family-friendly games, and it always just fits that spot. Then you've got the PlayStation, which is already having some struggling with some technology, as well as some versatility issues. You've got Xbox kind of transitioning out of consoles anyway. I think in the next few years we're going to see more Sony systems than we should. People are going to kind of give up with that a little bit. And I think Switch will stay alive, but I think for the most part everything's going to transition into the digital space. And I think you do Stadia, but you do it right. And I know that's a crazy thing to say, but like like once you see Games Pass and you see the success of it, you see how xCloud is making people happy. I think if Stadia had done their launch correctly, we'd be having a very different conversation about that system. We wouldn't be making fun of it. I think what you should do is you should say $20 a month. You get the controller, and you also get this huge, awesome games library, and you can play any of them for free. And then you have a conversation. And I think the thing that really turned people off to Stadia was an infinite subscription cost. You paid full price for the games, and you got them at less quality. I think right now, if you could say to somebody, you could play these games, they might be slightly less quality, but you could just play them for free. We just have we're selling you a library, basically. I think that's the way you make a console, kind of, I think the Fire Stick that Xbox is coming up with is a really good idea. Honestly, that would probably be my other idea, is just put it on a stick. But I think the only way to really assault these consoles is to do what they're trying to do already better than they do, or before they do, which is just go streaming. Go streaming first. Do it correctly by making it extremely cheap. And you've got a winner. Stadia's problem was never the technology behind it. It was never the idea behind it. It was the cost of the damn thing,
Yeah, and it's funny you bring that up, because with Game Pass Ultimate, you get that game streaming anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So that's already bundled in.
Right.
And honestly, I since I got on Game Pass, I've been such a proponent of it. I mentioned to you I haven't been able to use it yet just because of time, but on Prime Day, I bought the Razer Kishi for my phone. So now, my biggest issue was being able to get a clip and sync the controller up to my phone, this, that, and the other. I will be able to just slap my phone right into this Kishi controller, connect to the Wi-Fi or good data somewhere, and play whatever I want on Game Pass that is supported with Project xCloud, and just be cool with it, just wherever I am.
Right.
And that is worth mentioning too, is the next big platform is not necessarily a console, and everyone threw their hat into that ring all at once just because one group did it. And the very first iteration of something is never going to be the best. There's always going to be improvement somewhere. And as we've seen with Stadia's just been a complete flub. I'm astounded that it's still around. but then you have the second, the son of that basically was Game Pass, the Project X Cloud, and that seems to be doing pretty well. But then behind that, you have other companies who are trying to brute force their way in, like Amazon Luna,
Right.
which honestly I still don't know what it has. It's
Right.
apparently fully launched. You buy the controller just like you do with Stadia and you get the games. What the games are, I will never know because I've seen no advertising even on Amazon's homepage.
Right.
But the next big console, the next big platform is not one of physicality.
Right.
It's definitely 100% in the cloud.
I mean, you think about what, I mean, other than the cloud, you think about what the consoles do. And they all they all fall into a very different niche. And that's the interesting part. We're not in an era like Genesis and Nintendo where they were releasing the same bits, they were releasing the same kind of games, like it was just like every one of these systems has a different ideology at this point. They've all found their own niche. PlayStation is very they rely on their exclusive titles, they rely on their exclusivity, they rely on that kind of push of the old school console mentality, which I don't think is working out for them right now, but that's what they do. Xbox is Games Pass, period. That's what they want. That's what they do. That's what everything they sell is just a way to get you on Games Pass, but that's what they offer you is that service. That's their selling point. And then Nintendo has the more family-friendly stuff, and it has the portability. So like what else could another console offer that these three can offer?
Yeah, even things that I thought, or at least would have thought years and years ago before they existed would have been their own thing, aren't necessarily even their own thing.
Right.
Something like VR. VR, years ago, back when it was still just sci-fi, fantasy, whatever, I always would have thought that VR was going to be its own thing. Like Nintendo would come along and make like an actual like VR console
system, right?
Like not the Virtual Boy, but like an actual like this is like the whatever they would call it. I was gonna say Virtual Boy, but again they already tried that. But like something like that, and it would be a full VR experience, and that's the only way you could play it. Like you would have to set it up in your home and shit like that, and you could never take it anywhere. Now looking back on that, it's like wow, it's kind of silly, but like VR has found its way in the PC space. It's got a little bit of the share of PlayStation ever so slightly.
Right.
The Oculus does have their own standalone thing with the VR, which is nice, but it's not its own exclusive thing.
Here's the problem with VR. And I think everybody expected VR to be the next step. The problem is that step is way more complicated than people think it is. They just look at VR and go, just do that. Just allow us to be in the world. But you can't because of really complex human anatomy problems. Like there is a whole flow. Like the reason you get sick, like people get sick when they play too much VR, and they get sick because the idea of you being in the world, you're flooding your sensory with basically, okay, this is what's actually happening to you. But when you move, you can't take steps in VR, and because you're moving in it and you're basically transmitting to your brain that you're moving but you're not taking steps, you get motion sickness. Like that's where that comes from. And like that kind of stuff. Like I don't think anybody realized how big a technological step that was. And like so what's the fix to that? 3D treadmills? I'm not spending $2,000 to play VR. Not doing it.
That's kind of what they proposed in Ready Player One. Now, whether or not that's ever going to be a reality, I don't think so. Because, like, people can, yes, get VR rooms installed. They are
Right.
thousands of dollars.
Right.
Very, very impractical.
Right.
But, I mean, like, it is possible. But VR like that, yeah.
Well, and there's cool implementations of it. I've seen
Yeah.
places where they have they build like mazes. They build like real life mazes, but then they put you in a VR game that basically changes the maze into something and puts enemies in it, so you can feel every step of it. I think that kind of stuff is really cool. It's just that's not practical. You can't have that in your house. And so I don't think VR. I think VR is here. I think VR is early, and it's doing everything it can to stay alive till it's really going to become relevant. But it's not going to be relevant for, man, another 10 years probably.
Honestly, I don't think VR is. I don't think VR is the way that things are gonna go. I think VR. Sure, it might get a little bit better than it is, but I think it's kind of peaked strictly because of what you just said, the physical element of it. Because there's no way to get rid of that unless you get some like chip literally installed in your brain, which at that point we're a whole nother level of sci-fi futurism.
Well, and I'm not. The thing is I'm not going to say never, because like never is like fatally wrong. I mean, and who knows, like the way technology goes, 3D treadmills, they could be throwing them out next year. You know what I mean? It could be like in 10 years from now, they could be like $50. Nothing to buy. It depends, because technology always shortens the cost. It's just right now, it's not cost effective to have that kind of technology, and the system itself does not really work with us as people.
Yeah. I actually think not VR, but AR is gonna be the next big step. They kind of have a little bit of that, and I believe like they had like a Minecraft thing that they kind of did with that. I think AR is a much better step in that regard. It'll get people outside, this, that, and the other. You eliminate that whole motion sickness thing.
Right.
Now, how exactly they implement that into glasses is a totally different story.
Well, and
But
how do
I
you
don't
make
know.
a console out of that? Like
Oh, right.
what's the practical applications of that? I think AR is really interesting. It's really cool for certain things, but I don't think it's going to be ever really anything more than a mobile gimmick, unfortunately. I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't think there's enough money in it. I mean, yeah, you like you could build a headset that somebody could have, like glasses, and then they could put it on and go outside. But man, could you imagine getting caught in the rain in that, and then it's like fucking fried? Like shit like that would be like nightmarish. Or just, hey, the switches are pretty durable. I still don't like to walk around with them. Because I'm afraid they'll break. Like, how many people would get that and never leave their house,
Right.
I mean, I think that's a really cool idea to, like, have something like that and to make your world into kind of a fantasy reality. But I just, again, it's kind of like VR. I don't feel like the practical implications are there,
Yeah, I think it could be done. I'm more liable to believe that in 10 years we could have realistically AR as opposed to VR.
Well, that's true.
Gaming. Like as a more like viable, feasible option that's not just like,
Right.
oh, my camera on my phone is turned on. Look, there's a Charmander on your lap.
Right,
Like,
right. Yeah, that I don't disagree with that. It definitely has more potential than I think VR does at this particular moment. Though at the same time, there are plenty of people buying VR headsets right now. And VR headsets are relatively cheap comparatively to what VR headsets usually are.
That's true.
So, but yeah, I think at the end of the day, I don't think consoles. I think consoles are gonna end up becoming PCs anyway. Like I don't feel like everything's moving to that digital space. You're either gonna be streaming it or using a service.
Right.
Like Steam or even Xbox to buy things digitally. And at that point, it's like once you don't need to buy video games to put in a thing, what's the point of having a console?
Yeah.
Like it's the same with Netflix. Like who buys movies anymore? Like
That's true. I mean, I'm a weird ass who collects some movies. Here
I,
and
I'm
there, but
hey man, I'm 40 and I got a row of DVDs downstairs, and you've seen it, and I force them
Yeah.
on you sometimes. Like I'm with you. I like personally collecting, but I mean, as far as our society on a whole is, how many people are going out and buying physical DVDs? They're not. They're impulse buying it on Amazon digitally so that they can watch it instantaneously.
Yeah.
Like that's where we're going. That's where we've always been going. And once that happens, what's the point of a console at that point? Like then I could do it on a Fire Stick, which
Right.
is what we're going to talk about in our second talking point. I think this is a perfect time to segue if you're down.
Sure.
All right, pause. If we have a short episode, we have a short episode. I'm fucking exhausted, but I need to get one more drink, okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Brings us to our second talking point. We segued. We did it right. We want to talk about Xbox has just announced that basically using Project xCloud, their streaming service through Games Pass, they are going to be bringing Series X exclusive games to Xbox One. Meaning, if you have good internet, you will be able to play Series X exclusive games on your Xbox One, no problem. That's huge. That's huge, and this just factors more into what I've been saying. Xbox does not care about the consoles they sell. They don't care as long as you have Games Pass. That's all they care about is Games Pass. That's all they want you to have. But I think this is a really cool thing. I mean, I wish they had said this before they sold the systems to us all and we all went crazy about it. But I think it's really cool that people who haven't bought Series X don't necessarily need to run out and buy it now.
Yeah, I mean, it's like one of those things too that's like an absolute no-brainer. It's like, why would you not? Like,
Yeah.
the Xbox Ones can already do, other forms of streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Why not just slap streaming of games in on top of it?
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a nice gesture, but the only thing that I'm concerned about, and honestly, with myself, I just mentioned that I got that Razer Kishi.
Mm-hmm.
The internet here in America is not good as a whole. You have a select few cities, major cities in the country have access to fiber optic internet, which blazing fast. But outside of that, every other area, you only get two choices. One of them sucks hard. The other one sucks even worse.
Right.
And you get to choose between them. It's not a matter of streaming being too early. I think it's just a matter of our actual network infrastructure not meeting the demands of today.
I mean, I think, like I've said before, I think streaming is good depending on how you're doing it. If it's an add-on to a service that already exists, Man, that's awesome. More power to you. If
Right.
it's your entire platform that you expect people to play oodles of money for, then we have to have a conversation about it. I mean, Xbox isn't like restricting anything behind Project xCloud. It is a feature that you can use if you have better internet, and that's great. You know, it's not like Stadia where if you want this to work, you need great internet, you know?
Yeah, I think it just makes me wonder though with this the streaming and all these moves that Microsoft is making. It's just a matter of time. They have to raise the price on this. At some point, they have got to raise the price.
What, on Games Pass?
On Game Pass Ultimate at least.
It's what?
Because
It's at
they're-
$15, right?
yeah, 15, 17, something like that a month.
I think it's 15.
I can't imagine that we can go much longer without it jumping up to like 20 or something. And honestly though, still if it's $20 a month, still you are making out like a fucking bandit with all of the games that you get access to and all these different features that they're adding, like the game streaming and
Right.
stuff like that, and now on your own previous hardware. So those who don't have, aren't able to go out and get their hands on a Series X at least have a chance to stream those games. Now, I
Right.
can't imagine streaming those next-gen games, how much data that will consume and what type of bandwidth you'd need to run something like that. But it's still it's a step in the direction of the quote unquote future.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that like as far as the raising price goes, I think really it's overhead. And I'm not smart enough to know what it costs them to do what they do. You know what I mean? Like this is such a new model with the way they do Games Pass and how Games Pass works that really the only person who knows how that works is Xbox. Like those are the only people who understand how it works, you know?
Right.
But I have to assume though that they are making their money off of it, or they wouldn't be literally basing their entire platform on it. Like they've got to be making money hands over fists because if they were just breaking even on it, they wouldn't be pushing all of their customers that way.
Right.
So like they have to be making money on it, and if they're making money on it, why raise the price? Why not just keep undercutting? Especially now when we're in a situation where the other companies are going to start coming out with Games Pass services. You know, you got the PlayStation Now. It's nowhere near as good as Games Pass. Everybody talks about that. That doesn't mean that it's not going to get better. That doesn't mean that they're not going to start taking stuff away. I mean, and they're going to start fighting in that space. And I'm pretty sure it's cheaper right now, right?
It's included with your standard online.
So it's cheaper by a lot. So like I think Xbox is probably thinking to themselves, "Hey, we're making money hand over fist. We could probably get away with raising the price right now, but do we really want to do that when we're about to see competitors and we already see one that's super cheap, you know?"
Right.
I don't necessarily see that price increase. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't think people are greedy or they don't want money. I just don't think Xbox is willing to like their entire life in the console gaming space right now is tied to the value of Games Pass. And they show that every time they get on stage in an event, every time they show you a digital event, every time they bring you things, it's all tied to Games Pass and putting more stock in Games Pass. So with that being said, they cannot in any way, shape, or form make any mistakes with Games Pass.
Yeah. I mean,
So
honestly,
raising a price might be a mistake, and if it is, and I don't know that it will be, but if they even remotely think that hiking that price is a mistake, they're not going to do it, you know?
I mean, as time goes on, they are going to have to like update their technology, I'm sure. Like
Yeah.
servers, stuff like that. you can't not do stuff like that. And I'm
Yeah.
sure eventually down the pipeline, we are going to get a price increase
Yes.
on it. Now, I still think that we're within the realm of it's going to stay the price that it is for at least like another year or two for sure.
I mean,
But
okay, we're more on the same line than I thought we were. I just I don't.
It's not like, tomorrow Game Pass now costs $35 a month. Like that, absolutely. You can't spike the price like that. Like, we all know that eventually something like this is going to go up in price.
They always do.
It's just a matter of how much and when. I mean, in the time that I've been a subscriber to Netflix, I think I've seen 3 price increases. So, like, already, Microsoft has gone a very long time without doing a price increase. But like you said, they are profitable on that. We know that for a fact now from the Apple Epic lawsuit, that is where they make their money. So we know that they make money on that, and eventually they're going to want to make more, but they don't have to rock the boat with where they're at right now.
Right. I think that they stay the same, and I think they only raise it when they absolutely have to, especially in the next few years. They have to keep this thing straight. And man, I personally think this whole xCloud announcement for the Xbox One was only done right now because of the heat that Sony's getting. I mean, I can't think it's not. I don't think it's a coincidence that Sony is picking up a lot of heat because all the games that they said were going to be exclusive to PS5 are coming to PlayStation 4, and they're getting hit. And then all of a sudden, Xbox goes, "Hey, you're going to be able to play all our games on Xbox One." You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's another like kick to them.
Yeah, I don't think that those things are necessarily connected. I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
You don't think the conjunction of the announcements are conspicuously close together?
No, because I think if that was something that they were actually like planning to be an action to, elicit a response or to make that move, I think that's something that they would have done at E3. They would have done at their showcase. Especially given the fact that Sony wasn't there, they couldn't defend themselves from it. So if they wanted to really put the screws to Sony and make that be the move that they wanted to make intentionally, they would have done it at E3. But I mean, there's nothing to say though that there wasn't anything behind that. I just don't think. I think that everybody's taking their licks for different reasons, and Sony's right now is just the fact that they can't keep their messaging straight.
Well, and it definitely hurts when comparatively when you look at things too. It definitely makes Xbox look more honest than Sony right now, because Sony has said repeatedly leading up to the launch, they said, "Hey, these games are only going to be on PS5 because we are leveraging the PS5 tech to make them. So they can only be there. That's why we're doing it. That's why we're not thinking about PS4 anymore. We're thinking about PS5." And now we see more and more of them coming out on PS4, which means that the tech was not really leveraged. It was never really leveraged. It was just what you usually get in a launch year, which is better graphics on one system and completely the okay possibility of them putting on the other system. So honestly, you got this situation where, like, okay, so the whole time you were just kind of screwing over our system to try and sell hardware to us, but now that you can't sell the hardware, you're trying to backpedal. Whereas on the other side, you've got Xbox. I'm sorry, belched. I hate doing that. Birched. On the other side, you got Xbox, who are saying, "Look, we're going to bring you the highest quality games on the older systems. You're not going to lose any fidelity because of streaming. Like, as long as you have that internet, we've found a way to bring you those console systems, those better things on the older systems." That makes Sony look shitty, I think. Well, it doesn't make Sony look shitty. It makes Xbox look like a superiorly versatile company.
Yeah, I think if Sony had something to compare that against, I mean, yeah, sure, they have with PlayStation Now, but that's not like seen as a major selling point for Sony.
Well, and Sony
Microsoft,
doesn't have any streaming technology, at least that we know of.
no, they do.
What?
Yeah, they had it was, I think it was called. I think it was called like PlayStation Now. It was something. It was some streaming. I cannot remember off the top of my
xCloud?
head. It was something along those lines. Yeah, you literally streamed to it. It barely got off the ground. It barely did anything.
Okay.
Now I'm literally going to Google it.
Well,
because it's
fine.
on the tip of my tongue.
But if you've got to Google it and I don't know what it is, then they really don't have any streaming service.
Right.
Like, I mean, maybe they had something, but they don't actually have it. They're not utilizing it. They're not leveraging it in any space. There's xCloud on Xbox's side, and Sony doesn't have anything to do that with.
Yeah. Yeah. PlayStation Now is streaming.
What, it streams the games from PlayStation
Yeah,
Now?
it's streaming. Yeah. You can. I'm assuming you can download them too. But
I was
yeah,
about
it
to
says
say,
you
does it...
download or stream? I'm looking at PlayStation's actual thing right now. So like,
Okay.
that PlayStation Now can stream, but you made the point right there. The fact that I had to literally go
Right.
and Google it to
Right.
look it up to see if I was, if it's reality or a fever dream. That, yeah, it doesn't necessarily speak to their ability to do it.
Right.
And that was kind of the point that I was making is you can't really compare, something that Sony, I guess, technically has, but isn't like a major selling point like it is with Microsoft.
Right.
xCloud has been huge for Microsoft since its inception, since they started teasing it.
Well, and I'm not going to lie, we were... well, at this point, we'll probably end up having to get a smart TV because every TV is smart now, so it won't really matter. But our next purchase for our entertainment purposes at my house is a TV for the basement for the playroom, so that when I'm watching Aubrey and I have Stella at home, we never have to come upstairs. We could just play in the playroom all day instead of at the end of the day we all have to clean up like 3 different rooms. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we would just have the TV down here, and when it's time for them to watch TV for lunch or whatever, I would just turn that on. We haven't gotten that yet, but me and Melissa had been discussing possibly buying a Series S or some next-gen system just so that we weren't buying an old system at this, and possibly to stay in the zeitgeist of the newer games. But I have good internet. At this point, I'm just going to buy an Xbox One S and just put it down here because I'll be able to stream the new games to that if they don't come to PC for whatever reason, and they're probably going to come to PC and it won't matter, but I'll just put it down here. I'll have all my apps and I'll be able to stream it. I'm not going to need to buy a Series S or a Series S. I'm sorry, Series S or a Series X. Sorry guys, it's late. Daddy needs sleep.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is, I had said it a while ago, long ago, back whenever we were first talking about the new console generations.
Right.
Is Microsoft basically has said we could give two shits
Yep.
whether you buy our console or not,
Right.
and they've given me no reason to go out and buy their hardware because they have given me every reason to not need to.
Right, but and I've been saying it just as long. They don't care. Like, that's what they want. They want you on Games Pass. They want to offer as many options for you to be on Games Pass as possible. Hey, you want a high-end console? We got that. You want to put it on your old console? We got that. You want to put it on a PC? We got that. You want to put it on a fucking stick and jam it into your TV? We're going to have that. Like, they just want you to get Games Pass. That's all they care about. That's their entire business model, and it just goes to show every E3, all the games that they add, their big announcements are always like, this is going right into Games Pass. This is going to be playable in Games Pass. You can play this in Games Pass. Like, that's what they want. They want you on Games Pass. Their entire platform is increase stock of Games Pass, get people to play Games Pass,
Right.
Like, they're just not a hardware company anymore. And I feel like the only reason they have hardware is to make it easier for people to get into their Games Pass, you know?
Right.
But, alright, I think we covered this. What do you think?
I do believe so.
Alright, we might have a little bit of a shorter episode. Let's just do odds and ends and then wrap this sucker, because I need to go to bed.
Alrighty.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Alright, so that brings us to our, I guess our final segment tonight. Odds and ends. It's where we collect little stories. Don't necessarily deserve a talking point, but something we want to mention to you guys. Maybe we want to riff on. Maybe we just want to make the other person aware of it. I have 5 of these bad boys because I've been collecting them for the last 3 weeks. Neil has.
We didn't do it last week either. So.
We didn't do it last week. So, and I had 3 back then. So I've got 5. Neil has 3, so I'm gonna start us off if that's all right.
Sure.
All right. So number 1, super bummed about this because this was an odds and ends that has like updated itself. It's been in my thing so long. So Far Cry 5 has this awesome level creator built into it. Far Cry 5, anybody who doesn't know, is a first-person shooter. It's an open-world first-person shooter from Ubisoft, but it also has this like side mode where you can just like create levels and bad guys and stuff. Somebody took it upon themselves in the coolest way ever, and I don't know if you've seen footage of this, but I have, and it was so awesome I almost went out and bought one of my most hated games, Far Cry 5, just to play this. But somebody went and made every level from GoldenEye, the original Nintendo 64 GoldenEye game, in Far Cry 5.
Yeah, I heard about this.
I saw footage of it, and I was like, this is fucking awesome. I almost went out and bought like a used copy of Far Cry 5. And Neil, we've talked about how much I hate that fucking game.
Oh, yes.
And so for me to consider that, but just the idea of playing Nintendo 64 GoldenEye in like beautiful graphics, and this guy like painstakingly recreated it from scratch. It has been removed.
Yep.
It has been removed because MGM, you sons of bitches, forced Ubisoft to take it down due to copyright claim. Come on, MGM. What are you doing? There hasn't been a remaster in this game in like 10 years. The last one was on like PlayStation 2 or 3. It sucked ass. Like, what money are you losing by leaving up this fan mod? It's just annoying when companies do this. Nintendo does this shit all the time, and I just think it's so irritating to do that.
Yeah, it's on one hand I can see it. It's like, yeah, you own the rights, you got the right to do it, this, that, and the other. But like you said, who
cares?
What money are you making?
Right.
Like, unless you are in the middle of a redevelopment of GoldenEye,
right,
for this current generation,
right?
Like, I don't want to hear about it. They did that with the AM2R with the Metroid 2 remake. Nintendo did the same thing.
And even then, if you're got a remake in the works, the only thing this is gonna do is serve to give you good publicity for it. Like, that's all it's gonna do is put you back in the mind's eye of the people. And when it comes out, people are still gonna want to play the professionally made one and purchase a professionally made. No one is gonna be like, I don't need to buy the GoldenEye remaster because I played that modded level design one in Far Cry 5. No one is going to do that. Nobody's going to say that. This isn't costing anybody any money, and that just frustrates me so much. It would be one thing if like the game just came out and somebody recreated a game that had just came out in Far Cry 5. Okay, I could see you're losing some money there. That's some bullshit. But to recreate a game from 20 years ago, like, that isn't in the works, that has nothing in the works, it's to make somebody take that down is just so annoying to me. It's not even the hype of capitalism. It's just stupid spite, you know?
Yeah, kind of. They should have made it in like a mirror version.
Right. Or you know how I would be okay if they take it down is if MGM went to them and be like, "Hey, can you make that for us?" You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that would be cool. Like it was like we're going to take this down because we're going to make our own game using this guy's stuff. Oh, that'd be great. But like to just spitefully make this dude take down hours and hours and hours of work when it's not costing them a cent is annoying to me. It's very annoying. So you have 3. Should I go with another one then, or
Uh,
do you
no,
want to go with one?
I'll go.
Okay.
Then you go. Then I'll go.
Sure.
Then you go. Then I go. And then you go. So this one's actually pretty quick.
Okay.
Somebody got the original Doom to run on an IKEA light bulb.
What? What?
Yeah. Yeah, apparently they used the light bulb itself. There's circuitry in it, and they managed to make it run. There's a lot of videos out there of people running Doom on things. Doom has been
Yeah.
run on
Yeah.
a pregnancy test, just craziness. But
I feel like at this point it's just like it's like an ice bucket challenge. Like it's like what can you make Doom run on?
it's a lot of stuff so far.
I don't understand the interface of that. Honestly though, like how do you play it through a light bulb? I don't get.
It's the circuitry of the light bulb was used for it and run into a screen from what I
Okay.
remember.
Okay.
This was one of my ones that I found actually like 3 weeks ago, and we just didn't get to it.
Get to it. Right. That's cool. That's cool though. It's just
Yeah.
it's one of those things where it's like why are we doing this with our lives right now? It's like
Right.
what can we get Doom to work on?
Literally anything.
All right.
What do you got?
Okay. Filming has wrapped on the Borderlands movie, which I don't know how that's possible because I feel like it just got announced yesterday. I don't know. Like I feel like the amount of time that it's taken to film that compared to like when it got announced has been really short. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Like I feel like they announced it at the beginning of this year. Then they were like slowly revealed the cast list, like Kevin Hart, Kate Blanchett, Jack Black, so and so, so and so, so and so. Oh, and it's done. Like what? I don't understand how that happened.
I'm in the same boat with that. I thought it was very strange when I saw that the filming already wrapped. I have a terrible, horrible feeling that movie is just going to be god awful.
Yeah, so do I.
They just like, hey, Borderlands is a thing that people like, and you just slap it on there, and it was like almost meant to be something completely different.
Well, I don't know. I think you do have a good cast in this. Like it's not like it's a bunch of B players. Like these are big name actors who are very entertaining. I am conflicted with some of the choices. I have been honest about that, but still, you've got some really interesting, cool characters in it. The other thing that really kind of bothers me is you have like I don't understand what the story is going to be. And I wish that we had more information on that. If it's its own thing, I'm all right with that. But at the same time, like nobody's said that. You have characters from 2 interfering with characters from 1, and it's just like some of them don't seem kind of right as far as the timeline goes to have them. And then the other thing that kind of bugs me is I've said this a million times before. I don't necessarily think games should be movies. I don't necessarily think we should make movies out of video games. I mean, certain ones are possible, but I think that even games that are extremely narrative focused and extremely linear, the reason that you get into it is you're playing the character, so you're making certain choices that they're not going to make in the movie, and it's never going to feel right to you. You know, like you're never going to feel like you're like you're never gonna get that feeling from the movie that you do from from the game because you're choosing how the game goes. Even if it's linear, even if it's very linear, you're still choosing how, even the simplest things like how you fight. Like if you're in a linear game where you get like Dishonored, where you get stealth or action. I mean, right there, if you played the entire game stealth and then you go to see a movie where they fight the whole time, it's going to feel off to you. And that's why I feel like America has this obsession with the highest form of art being movies. Like, your art isn't good until it's in a movie. And I don't necessarily subscribe to that. I think games tell the story in the only way games can tell the story, and that's why games should be their own thing. I mean, there's certain ones that lend themselves to movies, certainly. I'm sure the Illumination Mario movie is going to be entertaining, but at the same time, like, that's not like Halo, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't know.
Well, honestly, speaking of Halo, I mean, this isn't one that's on my odds and ends, but it's kind of odd and endy to some degree. The Halo, the two of the showrunners already left the Halo TV series, so I'm sure that's going to be absolutely fucking fantastic when it comes out.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's like, why bother? Because then you have that hanging over your head forever, you know?
Yeah.
And even the Mortal Kombat movie, I liked it, but it was like, it didn't feel like Mortal Kombat to me, you know?
Yeah, I still have yet to see that.
Kano's amazing. He's the reason to watch that movie. All right, so you have one, right?
Yes. So this one is another one that I had from the previous week that we didn't get to, but I think it's very interesting, and I don't know how to feel about this, but it might be, I don't know. It might turn me more towards loot boxes to some degree. So EA is actually going to implement a system that will let players see inside of some of the loot boxes before buying them in FIFA for the Ultimate Team. So you will be able to see what is going to be in that pack that you're about to buy before you buy it. However, if you choose to not look inside the pack, there's basically it was like a 1-day timer to where you can't look inside a pack again. So you could be like, all right, so I want to buy this pack. What comes in it? No, I don't like that. Turn it down. And then you're like, you know what? Maybe I do want to buy a pack. You can't see what's inside that one. So it kind of tells you ahead of time what you're going to get on your first pull if you so decide. But outside of that, it's like just works standard. I kind of like that idea to some degree.
I mean, it makes loot boxes better, but at the same time, stop doing loot boxes. Like, I think that the only time that loot boxes or a loot box system is okay is when it's a collectible card game.
Yeah. And Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links is one that actually does it the best, I think. So in that, you buy your packs. They come in like 3 cards, 5 cards, something like that. It's been a while since I played in the pack on the game. But they actually have a special event. I don't know why it's a special event to do this. You choose the pack, you open the pack, and it tells you what is going to be inside that. And at the end of it, it gives you the option to say, do you want to keep this or do you want to trade it in? If you trade it in, no matter what, you end up getting what is in that other pack. So you could wind up with something better or not.
That's cool. That is cool.
Yeah, something like that definitely does open me up a bit more to that idea. I still don't want them in full price games.
Right.
So
well, and I don't want them in games like soccer games. Like all those sports games went to these card-based build system things. Yeah. And that's very frustrating to me. Like the other thing is too, I want to be able to earn the thing if it's a game like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's one thing in a collectible card game because you're building a deck out of the cards you get, and that's kind of the whole fun of it. So, like, I mean, in all the collectible card games, I can earn the packs through play. Like, some of them are more generous than others, obviously, but, like, I can earn the cards through play, you know? Plus, most of them have a really cool crafting system where you break down your extra cards to create new cards that you don't have yet. That's awesome.
Yeah.
But like when you have those games where you're just playing, like you're playing the game, it has nothing to do with the cards, and you have this tacked on card system that requires loot box opening, it just feels so shitty, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
Like why is so and so the soccer player better because I have 3 cards with a kicker on it? You know, like that kind of stuff drives me nuts. Like if it's a card game, I get it because you're actually playing the cards, but you don't play the cards in a soccer game. You play soccer in a soccer game. So like I don't understand why they can't just do like a level-based system before. And obviously it's just to, you know, predatorily get
money.
people for money. Yeah, that's what it is. And that's irritating. Like find new ways. Like switch from loot boxes, switch from the card systems. Have, if you want to be predators, fine, but have people purchase things directly the thing they need for the thing they want. So like if I'm building this team and I want a new jersey, allow me to purchase the thing for that jersey. Don't wrap it up into a fucking loot box that I've got to like, with a 2% that I've got to like fucking grind, you know?
Yeah.
Like if you want to be predators, fine, be predators, but just be it in a way that isn't shit. Like we're gonna spend the money on it, we want it, but don't make us grind shit out, you know? I don't know.
Exactly.
It's frustrating to me. So my next one, have you heard about the abandoned conspiracy shit? It's really funny to me.
No.
Okay, so there's this indie game being made for PlayStation 5 called Abandon. And they showed off this demo. I can't remember where they showed it off, but it's a very short demo. A guy in the woods. It's first person. He has a pistol, and it's very obviously like a thriller, scary sort of game. And basically, the internet lost their fucking mind. They decided that it was actually Hideo Kojima's next game, and that it was actually a Silent Hill game. And that everything else around it was a lie. So, like, Abandon has had to release several statements, like, basically just saying, we don't know Hideo Kojima. We don't work with Hideo Kojima. He's fine, but we don't have anything to do with him. This is not a Silent Hill game. This is the Abandon. To the point where it got so bad where the guy, and I don't remember his name, I think they're a Middle Eastern company. I'm not 100% positive on that, but he has a more complicated name to remember, and I just don't remember it. But he actually went on Twitter and recorded a video of himself, basically just saying to people, "Hi, I'm the developer of this game. I am a real person. I am not an actor paid by Hideo Kojima. I am a game developer. I've been a game developer for so many years. My game company has been this. I joined this game company here. This is our game. It's not Hideo Kojima's."
You know, this is why, like, the endless hype machine in games, like, developers can't lean into that. Because this is what happens when people don't even, like, nobody leaned into it. Some dude on the internet thought it was something else, hyped everyone else up, and now they're all convinced it's this other thing because they have this cult-like attraction to Kojima for some reason.
Yeah.
But, like, this right here is how you get all of the issues with games like, you know, like Cyberpunk and this, that, and the other that are just so hyped all the time.
Yes.
And then they wonder why it is that, you know, oh, well, we're getting death threats because our game got delayed, whatever. Because the chaotic legion that is the internet you just move a tiny bit and they're all set off.
Yep.
So I don't. I feel bad for this guy because now I'm sure this guy worked on him or his studio, whatever, worked on this game for a very long time and put a lot of time and effort into it. And now to have everybody else think that it's something that somebody else did,
Yeah.
that it like, I'm sure it's a badge of honor to be compared to someone like Kojima, I guess. I don't know why, but I'm
Right.
sure that could be seen in that light, but at the same time, like, people will buy this game expecting something else that it is not.
Right.
Probably. And that's unfortunate for this guy just because the internet went crazy.
Yeah. So your next one, man.
All right. I gotta pull my note back up here. All right. This is my last one. This is a little bit of fuckery. So Sony has been extending invites to people again to buy a PS5, like they did before. In some cases, to buy yet another PS5 for some reason. So
What?
they've leaned on their established invite system to get people to buy PS5s directly from them. They had back whenever the pre-orders went live, you could sign up for a chance to be invited by Sony to buy a PlayStation 5 directly from them. And they looked at like your past interactions with like PlayStation products and stuff, basically to see if you're loyal enough. But they've started using the system again. However, they have not checked in this system the invites that they're sending to people. They have not checked them against whether or not they have sent them to people and if those people have already bought them. So
How dumb.
now we have people who are just getting the chance to just buy another PS5 because reasons. So, I mean, sure, that's probably great for them, whatever, but, there's some people who want a PS5 and can't get their hands on one. I feel bad for those people.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very, very, very annoying. And fix your shit if you're gonna do that system.
Right.
So Oculus, this is my next one. Oculus, the VR company, everybody is aware of it. They're actually, I believe they're the ones that are owned by Facebook, right?
I believe so.
Well, funny enough, man, they're putting ads in their VR games now. So Oculus has a game coming out. I do not remember what the game was called because this was a note that was taken weeks ago. But they're going to actually have ads in. They have promised that they're not going to use any of the data that they take while you're playing VR games to sell you stuff. I don't believe them, but yeah, they're gonna put ads in their stuff, and I'm gonna tell you, it's a matter of time before like you get contact ads in like, oh, your eyes are rough. Like, how do you know my eyes are rough? Oh, I'm in a headset that you control, sending data back. So yeah, they're putting ads in Oculus.
Yeah, because nothing says information security like fucking Facebook.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't. Yeah, that's gonna be. That's not gonna go over very well. I mean, there's been a lot of. What was it? There was the EA Sports games, the UFC games that threw real ass, actual ass ads
at you. Yep.
In the middle of matches, and that went over very well. Like,
oh yeah,
I get
real
it.
well.
Facebook needs to make money somehow. I don't understand how they could need to make more money than they're making already, but whatever. But by putting ads into games like that, it's going to be needlessly invasive.
And my final one, Pete Hines backpedaled on his apology to PlayStation people about Starfield, which is comical to me. But we talked about it last week, or maybe I think it was either last week or the week before, but they actually apologized to PlayStation owners because Starfield was exclusive to Xbox. which was a big deal because it was like that just undercuts everything you've said so far. It makes Xbox look shitty. It makes you look shitty. It was just dumb. But he's backpedaled and released a statement saying, just to clarify, I was apologizing for the situation, but I was not necessarily apologizing because we made it exclusive. What? What? So what you're saying now is not that you're apologizing for wronging PlayStation, but you're apologizing to PlayStation in a shitty, arrogant, look down on them sort of way? It's pretty fucked up, Pete Hines. Pretty fucked up, Bethesda. Pretty fucked up. So I feel like this just dug the hole. Like, if you're going to take the apology back, just take it back. But don't make it sound like you're like this, because it makes it sound even shittier. I mean, the fact of the matter is, you're not selling this to PlayStation people. You should be selling this to PlayStation people. That's the way it should be. Like, period. Like, I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't.
I'm glad
I
we're
don't
of one
know.
mind on that one.
I don't know what would possess. It was already ridiculous enough that he came out an apology out in the first place.
Right.
Let alone the fact that, like, he's like, it almost is like I'm not the one that made the decision, but at the same time, fuck you for even thinking that, we're sorry for actually doing this. Like, I don't.
Right.
It's just such a weird vibe.
It's such a weird vibe. Like, it's such a weird vibe. I don't. Like, and if you're. Like, you gotta stick to your guns, right? Like, you can't just, like...
Yeah.
If you're gonna make something exclusive, you gotta be like, we make it exclusive. That's the way it should be. You can't just decide, well, we're sorry, we made it exclusive, and apologize to half the people. Like, you're either ride or die Xbox, or you're not. You can't just be like, well, we're with them now, sorry. Like, that's just not how this works. And for them to apologize, which... Fuck, I think they should apologize. I think it should be on PlayStation. I'm not even a PlayStation guy. I think it should be on PlayStation. I think every game should be on all the platforms, period. I've always said that. I don't think exclusivity helps anybody. That being said, I even made a terrible talk about it that you guys should all go check out.
You have managed to plug that video like 3 weeks in a row somehow.
I want to say one of them you
impressive.
plugged. One of them you plugged. It wasn't even me.
Still.
But still, I think they should apologize. But at the same time, if you're gonna like do somebody wrong, you don't say sorry for them. You don't stab somebody in the back and then say, "No, I'm sorry." Like.
Yeah.
Fucking commit or don't,
Yeah, I don't think that he should have apologized for it in the first place.
No.
It was a deliberate decision. It's not like it was
Right.
oopsie daisy. It was an accident. Like,
Right.
No apology was needed in the first place. So
Right.
that on its own made them look made everything look weird enough as it was. But then, like, getting mad because people are mad at your apology and saying, well, I wasn't actually apologizing for, like, this situation. I'm just
Right.
apologizing for, like, whatever. It's like, that's, like, I don't even know how to describe that.
Right.
Truthfully. I can't even begin to know how to describe that.
It's absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely beyond the pale, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
I think that's it for odds and ends, and we somehow managed to make this show as long as we usually do, and it's
Abso-fucking-lutely.
and it's almost 1:30.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
So I think we should go to the plugs so that I can go to bed. What do you think about that?
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
That brings us to the end of the show and the shameless self-promotion that comes with it. Neil, you got anything special you want to promote this week?
No, we just still plugging away Halo Infinite Road. We were actually talking between...
Yeah, I don't think you should plug that this week, just in case something happens and we don't get it up on Thursday.
Halo Infinite Road will be fine. It will find a way.
We'll find a way.
It will find a way. But yeah, the Halo Infinite War stuff, I don't know. We may have to figure something out. Long story short, My new house has a lot of weird electrical problems and does
It's
not
always
have
something with
grounds
Neil.
in a
It's
lot of
always something
places.
with Neil, guys.
Yeah, currently and for the foreseeable future at least, I have to do all of my things on Wi-Fi in the basement because that's about the only place that I have a ground right
And
now
his
for outlet
Wi-Fi
ports,
blows ass.
as you all have seen slash
Uh-huh,
heard
uh-huh,
previously.
uh-huh.
So we are gonna have to get something figured out with that. I will know more tomorrow, hopefully. Slash, y'all will know more next week, I guess,
Yeah.
maybe, because we are probably getting about the time that we should start have been considering Halo Infinite War. We're about halfway through Halo 3, so that's when we start talking about that thing. So I guess we will see what's going on there.
Yeah, yeah. As far as Halo Infinite War, yeah, that might be a little bit farther off, just because schedules and the amount of like we had enough problems last time, and you had decent internet. Like I don't
Yeah.
wanna. I don't want to fuck with it this time, so we might just hold off on that a little bit, but we'll get to it eventually, I promise. As far as other plugs, I have a couple of things I would like to plug. I am very excited to announce our in between transitional OMG wrestling show has a release date, and that will be July 19th, Monday. Bonus round will come out. That is the big transitional show between season 2 to season 3. We're going to decide, you'll get to see the decision of the ladies' doubles ultra titles, a new title that's coming in, and then we're going to set up promos that'll set up everything, all the content for season 3. Really excited about that. I want to just take a second and tell you guys that it took me 12 hours to do this episode between editing and promo stuff. And that's not even including the capturing the matches or the voice recording. My eyes were way too big on the promos. And some of the other stuff. There's actually no way to have 3 people fight 2 people in that game, and I had to somehow make that happen. So it was a lot of work on that. So I'm very proud of that, and I hope you guys all tune in July 19th. Expect plugs like this every week leading up. Also, leading up to it, I'm doing best of season 2 shows. I'm compiling the best matches from each division. We already did the dual team. Tomorrow, well, it'll be yesterday when you guys are hearing this, will be the North American division. I've already kind of plugged my first impressions of Monster Hunter Stories. Oh no, that was off air. Monster Hunter Stories
Nope.
2. Monster Hunter Stories 2 First Impressions is coming out on Monday. I would also like you guys to continue to check out Stella's show, which is Tuesdays at 1 p.m. The second episode is coming out, and the second episode will actually have the theme song and the picture that it's supposed to have. I don't know what happened on episode 1. The 30 seconds of silence just makes no sense to me. I don't know how that happened, but episode 2 will have the fun stuff in that, and that actually did really good last week. So me and Stella are gonna keep doing it, and I think I'm gonna have to keep doing it with Stella indefinitely because she just asks me to do it every day now. So, and then finally, we switched from Outriders to Wasteland 330. We're actually making community members in the game. We start with just me and Phil Billy. Those are Fridays, and we had a lot of fun doing it. So please check that out. And if you're a community member, get in touch with me on Discord as to what you'd like to see us make your character out of. So that's it for all the plugs. And I plugged a lot. I'm sorry, but there's a lot coming out this month. Other than that, you guys can check us out on Facebook at OldManGamingDH, on Twitter at OldManGaming9. You can join our Discord. The link will be in the description below. You can influence this and all of our shows from there. You guys have a happy 4th of July, and we will see you guys next week. Pause. Alright, I gotta figure this shit out. It's bugging me. It's gonna bug me if I don't just do it.
I'm the same way. Whenever I'm like, "Hey, I'm gonna go do a
This
thing,"
thing, yeah, I don't understand.
and the thing doesn't work out the way that you want slash think it's going to,
Right?
and you focus all of your energy on just strictly doing that.
Right.
That's actually one of the things that I did yesterday. fixing outlets in this house. They in the laundry room, they were supposed to be to make the electric to code. One of the things I caught on the inspection, you're supposed to have GFCI outlets in laundry room.
Right.
And the one outlet, it was grounded, but it wasn't GFCI, so they just slapped GFCI in there. And I got a tester, and it doesn't work. It's got an open hot. I'm like, what in the hell? So I pulled out the outlet, and it is just this fucking jumble of wires it's literally taped on the sides because the box that you put the plug in is too small for the outlet. So if you didn't have the tape, it would actually short out in the box. And it's just, yeah, oh my God, it's just nightmare-inducingly bad. And at this point, I'm just like, I just want to put it back together. But of course, whenever I pulled it out, the ground wire came out of it. Not like it mattered fucking anyways, because it didn't work. So I spent an hour and a half trying to get that ground wire back in there. Got it in only twice, and both times it popped back out when I put it back in the box. And I just said, fuck it. It's like, the outlet doesn't work anyway. I have an electrician coming. I don't know why the fuck I'm wasting all my time doing this.
Kev is officially Secretary of Defense.
Where is that reflected?
It should be just on him if you click on him. Actually, where will it be reflected? Kev Tutal. Like profile. I know I made him one. Click on him. Yeah, if you just click on him, under it, it'll say roles, and it'll say Old Man Fam. It'll also say Secretary of Defense.
He's not up in my... Oh, I think I can go scroll
He's
down.
offline. He's offline.
Yeah, I saw he's offline.
If he gets online, it'll probably like make a different
Yes,
spot for him too.
Yes.
Right?
Is there like a promotion thing that happens in the lounge?
I don't think so.
No, there's not.
No. Oh, here's what I'm gonna do. At everyone. Hold on. At everyone. That's right. Everyone. Kev Too Tall is now officially the... Hold on. Secretary of Defense. Send now. There we go. Bam. Done.
Fabulous.
Done. We made it a reality.
For now.
Right? We made it a
for now.
We're making dreams come true here. Making dreams come true.